So I think a question needs to be asked. Can Sony be saved? But more importantly, should it be saved at this point? Last week, I did a video on how I would save Xbox because I don't want to say triggered, but I was inspired by the kind of funny games Greg Miller rant of his thoughts for saving Xbox and how he didn't really have any new ideas. And when doing that video, I obviously had a plan to do how I would save PlayStation. But then the announcement that not only are they shutting down the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation Vita stores, but that they are ending all physical disc manufacturing for their entire ecosystem by January of 2028, meaning there's like 1.5 years left of physical discs. That was a monkey wrench in the works, and no one liked that. The backlash has been pure insanity. And while there have been some people like trying to defend it, trying to stand up for Sony, some of the longest diehard Sony fans I have heard of on the internet have been striking out at Sony. Like, one of the biggest is MBG. I don't really watch his content. I haven't really followed him that much on X, but quite frankly, I've always seen that guy as like the biggest Sony fan. And the fact that he has canceled his PlayStation Plus subscription, the fact that he has said he's not getting a PlayStation 6 is truly impressive, because like that guy is a massive Sony fan. And the fact that he is willing to make those statements and do those gestures is truly surprising. A lot of other diehard Sony fans I've seen online have been following suit and doing the same thing. And I wanted to do how I would save Sony, but quite frankly, whereas Xbox, I always got the feeling like with Xbox, if I had managed to get into the elevator with a Phil Spencer or a Asha Schwarmer or a Matt Booty, they would at least be open to hearing my ideas on like things I would do with the company if we had hit it off. It's like, maybe we might actually try that. But with PlayStation, ever since Jim Ryan got in, I've always had a feeling of them going, we're better than you, and we know it. I mean, honestly, I'm not really mad about the recent news with PlayStation killing their physical departments. I'm just more disappointed because this entire generation, they have been kicking me in the back over and over and over and over again. And just when I think they can't sink any lower, they keep going, hold my beer. And the only reason why the backlash hasn't been more severe earlier is just Xbox was lucky enough to be there to do something as equally stupid whenever Sony did something stupid. And so they've kind of been riding on that. Like, don't you guys hate Xbox? They've been doing so many bad mistakes. Please don't remember the latest things we just did that have pissed off our fan base. And so I made an earlier video saying that I was pretty much done with Sony. I'm writing out the rest of the generation, but like there is no way I'm getting a PlayStation 6 unless they do certain key things. Honestly, I'm now like very confident I am not getting a PlayStation 6 even if they offer it at $300. Let's be honest here. They're not going to offer that thing at $300. They're really pushing for that thing to be over $1,000. And so some of the rhetoric coming from them like, oh, well, most everyone buys digital. Sure, I recognize that a lot of people buy digital. But you have to understand that a lot of people do not have decent enough internet. And it is funny seeing how out of touch some people go, where it's like, what, no one has internet in 2026? And they get torn apart online, because it's like, me. I live in the United States of America, okay? This guy right here, I did not have decent enough internet to do online multiplayer gaming or to do live streaming until January of this year of our Lord 2026. In the US of A, I did not have access to internet that was decent enough to do that. Just wrap your head around that for a moment, okay? In the United States of America, I did not have access to high-speed internet that could do online multiplayer gaming or live streaming. I had some internet, but the most I could do was a 2-hour upload to get a video online. It really was limiting. And it wasn't until like January of this year where it's like, oh, so this is what the 21st century is supposed to be like. So that's a guy in the US of A. Imagine someone in rural China, in rural Africa, rural India, Australia, okay? Secluded parts of Europe where the mountain ranges prevent any internet cables like to getting to a small village, okay? The amount of people that do not have decent enough internet is still quite staggering. And the fact that Sony's just throwing that away, it is truly insane. But the people running Sony are completely incompetent. They are not the right people for the job. And I kind of know this because ever since the start of this generation, I've been compiling a list of every terrible thing that like Sony has done exclusively just in this generation. It's not even like everything they've done since they started doing gaming. No, it's everything in just this generation, the PlayStation 5 generation. And I was planning on doing like a video at the end of the PS5 generation, but I mean, let's kind of be honest here. The generation's pretty much over because they are pushing to release next gen as soon as possible, even though it's one of the dumbest ideas they could possibly do with the RAM prices. I mean, it is insanely stupid trying to release a new console generation right now with RAM prices and SSD prices and computer components prices being up so high as they are and continually skyrocketing. And I mean, it is just, I will try to abbreviate this list because reading off this whole list will take probably an hour. That is how many times Sony has screwed up this generation. In no particular order, I mean, like, the PlayStation 5 Pro was useless, okay? It did not give a significant enough advancement for people who already had a PlayStation 5. Alright, anytime they show footage on PlayStation 5 Pro, and then they show footage on PlayStation 5, I literally have to squint at the screen like, can you guys tell a difference? I mean, the one on the right might be a tad sharper, but like, is that really worth another $400? Or what is it, $500 now? They keep jacking the price up on it. It's ridiculous. And I mean, the fact that they started doing the whole Apple thing where it's like, hey, let's charge for every single piece that should come packed in with this, like the stand. They charge $30 for a piece of plastic, okay? And the thing can even stand up by itself if you want. It's one of the most unnecessarily charges on a built-in thing, a packed-in thing that should have been with the original system. Was with the original system. My PlayStation 5, I got at launch, came with a damn stand. Alright? I mean, but like Jim Ryan ran the company into the ground, and Herman Hulst has not been a good CEO. He has driven the Horizon franchise into the ground. that was a really cool IP when it came out. The concept, the character, everything about that was really cool. And then he just kept saying, hey, we're going to do nothing but Horizon. It's like the sequel came out, it's like, oh, cool, sequel. And then feed on, it's like, oh, okay, that quickly? And then a cookbook. And then the Lego Adventure. And then all of these other tiny things. It's like, could we please stop with Horizon? It's like, no, wait, there's more. And now there's a live service Horizon game that no one is excited about. Even diehard Horizon fans are not excited about. It looks terrible. It looks tacky. It looks cheap. And it's going to bomb like Concord. And it's just really sad seeing such a great company like PlayStation falling so hard. I mean, one has to ask, what exclusives came out this generation that have really been killer apps for the system? You remember that term? The killer app? Back in the 360 days, is like, this is the killer app for the 360. Gears of War. You're going to want to get an Xbox 360 just to play Gears of War, right? Same thing with Halo. You're going to want to get an original Xbox to play this new game called Halo. With PlayStation 3, they had a couple, alright, Uncharted was one. Last of Us, at the end of the generation, was considered a killer app for the PlayStation 3. Metal Gear Solid 4. I mean, PlayStation 4, you had Horizon, you had God of War, you had Infamous and Bloodborne and all of these great games on the PS4. And then the PlayStation 5 comes around, and what do they have? A remake of a PlayStation 3 game with Demon's Souls, okay? I haven't even played the first 3 Dark Souls, and I have those. Why would I spend... It's like $60 still for Demon's Souls. It's like, why would I spend that on that when I haven't even played the first 3 Dark Souls yet? Okay? And they have, Ratchet & Clank? Is that really a killer app? Astro Bart? Fun platformer? Is that really a killer app? I mean, Spider-Man 2 was a colossal joke. Didn't even come near to the sales of the first Spider-Man. The director of the game basically alienated half the audience, and the other half got alienated by Sweet Baby Inc.'s involvement. And so that's another thing. Sony keeps fighting the cancerous tumor that is Sweet Baby Inc. into their games, and it makes their games shittier. Who the hell is really interested in Wolverine right now? I'm not. I just rather play X-Men Origins Wolverine. I have a copy of it. I mean, honestly, the only, PlayStation 5 exclusive, well, it's not only a console exclusive because it came out on PC, but the only exclusive that I was remotely interested in was Death Stranding. Okay? I haven't even opened this yet. I got it for $20 on clearance, and which was a little surprising because I've never seen it that cheap anywhere else since or again. And it's like, I mean, that was the only thing that was like, okay, but I wasn't even super excited for it. It was like, alright, I kind of like the first one, I'll grab it. And that's just how I've been the entire generation. I've just been like, eh. And so when I say I'm not really upset, I'm just disappointed in Sony when they announced they're killing physical. It's not because I'm not into video games, it's just I'm so sick of Sony's bullshit now that it's like, please die as fast as possible. You've already chased me to PC, okay? PlayStation 5 is my last Sony console. And before anyone comes out in the comments saying, this guy's just an Xbox, he's not a real Sony fan. What is that right there that I'm pointing at? That's a PlayStation VR 2. Underneath it is a PlayStation VR 1. I have a PS2, which is backwards compatible with PS1. And I do have PS1 games. I have a PlayStation... I have 2 PlayStation 3s, mind you. I have a PlayStation 4. I have a PS5. I have a PlayStation Portable and a PlayStation frickin' Vita. Alright, so if I'm an Xbox, I'm one of the shittiest Xbox who has ever lived. that list I just told you of all the stuff I have, I was a huge Sony fan. There was a point, it's like, hey, Sony's going to be my console for the rest of my life. I'll get Xbox if it's ever drops in price or it's cheap enough, but I'm a Sony console guy. Not anymore. Okay, I am sick of their bullshit. And their arguments for killing physical is so ridiculous. I saw one person come on and go, can anyone name 10 games that they've actually bought? Everyone buys digital. Only the fakers are saying they buy physical. Okay, well, I just showed you Death Stranding 2. And then here is Lost Soul Aside. And then here is, surprise, surprise, an actual physical PlayStation VR 2 game. Only reason why I bought it, Captain Toonhead versus the Punks from Outer Space. Never even heard that game before I saw this copy. I was just impressed it was actually a physically released PlayStation VR 2 game. Here's Mind's Eye. You know, that game that everyone said was the worst game of last year. I have a physical copy of it. Here's The Pathless, physical copy. Here is Warhammer Space Marine 2, a physical copy. Here is Lords of the Fallen, a physical copy. Here is the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, a physical copy. This entire bookcase is full of physical games. That entire bookcase is full of physical games. That bookcase... Okay, admittedly, that is mostly movies, but there's a couple games in there as well. Okay? I mean, only reason why I got digital was, one, I could not find a physical copy anywhere, and two, the sale was just too good. That is it. That is the only reason why I have ever gotten a digital version of a game. PlayStation VR, unfortunately, most games on that platform have to be digital because they don't do physical releases. It's a sad fact, but it's a necessary truth about that whole system. Like, one of the first digital games I got was Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because it was the Ultimate Edition with all the DLC and all of the cosmetic packs for $20. It's like, how much is the physical? $120 at GameStop, and probably all the DLC codes have been used. It's like, oh, okay. So in that instance, digital was pretty cool. It's like, I would rather spend $20 on the Ultimate Edition than $120. But now, it's becoming kind of this evil thing, because now they could shut off your entire account if you haven't been on it in 2 years. Why are you doing that, Sony? That is just evil. Okay? And then they also saying, technically you don't own those games. Those are licenses, so we can take it whenever you want. Why are you saying that? That's just evil. I mean, and then they shut down like 500 movies from people who actually purchased those. I mean, the Age ID video checks in the UK, the 30-day lock DRM on digital games, dynamic pricing on games, forcing accounts on PC gamers, the terrible launch of the Portal. They should have delayed that until they could have had the actual streaming to the Portal available. Concord and Fair Games, the lie about 8K. Remember, I still have one of the PlayStation 5 boxes where they say 8K compatible in the future, and then they remove that because it's like, yeah, we're not doing 8K. So we sold you on that, but we're not doing that. I mean, and then, like, just real quick, the launch of the PlayStation 5 was one of the messiest jokes I had ever seen of a console launch. They didn't announce that you could play the thing offline until a couple weeks before launch. I mean, that is insanity. And when I tried researching it, it's like, we have no new information to tell you. Read the blog post if you want to find out more. It's like, I've already read the blog post. There's nothing on there telling me if I can play this offline or not. It's like, oh, too bad. You contact Xbox support, it's like, oh yeah, this is like exactly like an Xbox One. It's the same architecture. We'll try to make this as simple as possible. So, yeah, the Series X will be playable offline. I found that out like 6 months before release. It was amazing. I have a video talking about it. And it was only a couple weeks before the launch of the PS5 when they finally announced that, like, oh yeah, this can play offline if you want. It was only a couple weeks before when they actually talked about what was backwards compatible on the PlayStation 5. The SSD was such a joke on the PlayStation 5. Literally, it wasn't even the advertised 800 and something gigabytes. It was only 600 and something gigabytes of usable space. And that 600 gigs, for the longest time, was the only way you could put a PlayStation 5 game on the system. You could not use the expandable SSD slot. You could not put an SSD, like hook up an SSD to it and put the games on there. You could not put the games on a mechanical hard drive. The only way you could have PS5 games on this was the pathetically small SSD. Whereas Xbox, right off the cuff, it's like, if you want to store your next gen Xbox games on a mechanical hard drive, you can. You won't be able to play it, but you can at least store it. Day one. I mean, when I hear people shit-talking the Xbox this generation and saying PlayStation 5 was so amazing, it's like, obviously, you did not experience both like I did, because the PlayStation 5 compared to the Series X this generation, if I was in a house fire, I'm grabbing the Series X over the PS5, because the PS5 was a joke compared to the Series X. I mean, even in debates with some people, when like they're saying, oh, PlayStation 5 is such a better system to play on, it's like, but that system though on the Series X is such a great design. They can't argue with that. It's like, yeah, it is a pretty good design. The fact that next gen upgrades are free on Xbox now, but you gotta pay $10 on PlayStation 5 is insane. I mean, just so many aspects of the Series X is better than the PlayStation 5. The Resume Play is a better feature than PlayStation 5's version of it. Backwards compatibility is better than PlayStation 5's. And something that may shock you, honestly, I turned my PlayStation 5 on for the first time in like 6 months the other day. I don't play on it. Okay? I play on the Series X because it's a far superior experience. Okay? The controllers last longer because the PlayStation 5 controller, because of all the bells and whistles and the fact that they kept the same size battery from last generation, it dies in a day and a half. Even with everything turned down. It's one of the worst controller experiences I can possibly imagine because it just uses up the battery so quick. The Xbox, it's weeks before I have to change the battery on an Xbox because it's just the same thing that you've had since the 360. Yeah, you don't get haptic feedback and a microphone that's always listening and like stuff that can help you get to space like on the DualSense, but hey, it actually lasts longer than a gaming session. So, I've seen some people trying to fight back against Sony, doing petitions and saying, hey, keep the heat up on social media. Sure, you can do that. I have supported some of these just for out of solidarity, but the way I see it, I don't see Sony surviving. They will launch PS6 and they will fudge their numbers because Sony always fakes their numbers. They've been doing it since 2020. Alright, the most obvious one was with the PlayStation 2 numbers right when the Switch was about to beat the PlayStation 2 as the greatest selling console of all time. So Jim Ryan just came out and said, oh yeah, we actually sold another 5 million even though we haven't been selling the console for years. Yeah, we had a 5 million, and thankfully it looks like Switch is still going to beat that number because they're still selling Switches. Just out of spite, if I was Nintendo, I would have kept making more Nintendo Switches and selling them just to spite that bullshit that Jim Ryan did. They fake their numbers on a lot of their games, and so they will fake their numbers on PlayStation 6 sales, saying it's the fastest selling console of all time. And then you'll just see an article one day, it's like, why is the PlayStation 6 not selling? Well, it's probably because it's a digital only console that's over $1,000. If you're forcing me to go all digital, I'm going with PC. I just built a PC. It's a pretty decent PC. I can't play stuff on max settings, but I can play everything at 1080p. 1080p is pretty gorgeous, in my opinion. I have no problem playing at 1080p. I can always upgrade the graphics card when I have to. So, thanks, Sony. You just chased this fan away from your ecosystem. I will not get another PlayStation system, and I will not purchase any more digital stuff outside of the few VR games that I need to purchase and some DLC. Like, I mean, why would I purchase a digital game off of PlayStation? I have that stupid 30-day check, and if I have my system off for 2 years, then I lose everything. That's ridiculous. That's stupid. Why would you do that? It's like, it feels like they're just chasing away their fan base now. And so I would say, guys, switch over to Nintendo, maybe Xbox, or PC. Nintendo kind of pissed me off with the way they price games. Like, seriously, Breath of the Wild, the thing you've sold 35 million copies on, is still $50. I will never pay $50 for Breath of the Wild. I may pay $20 for it, but I'm never paying $50 for it. I do not see that game being worth $50, even if the diehard fans say it is. The way Nintendo overcharges on their games is ridiculous. Xbox, it seems like they're trying to do some good, but they have not. They are probably going all digital as well. And so, I mean, really, if you want to stay physical, Nintendo's probably your only option now. I definitely, if I was running Xbox, I would do, this is how you share your games. Thanks, Matt. I would absolutely do that. I would tell Asha, you need to do that tomorrow. And you'll get a whole bunch of Sony fans coming over to you. You're literally spank them like they spanked you back in 2013. But the reason why they're not doing that is because they kind of want an all-digital future as well. So, but yeah, that's just been my thoughts on the whole debacle. I think you guys should get off of Sony. They are probably a dead company. They might last a few more years, but I don't see the PlayStation brand. I think Sony, the overall corporation, is going to do just fine with what they do in movies, tech, phones, that kind of stuff. I think they'll be fine. Their PlayStation brand is a dead brand. I don't think PlayStation is going to last. I think some of the houses will become third-party developers for PC because I think no one's going to buy the PlayStation 6. You'll see a few thousand people buy the PlayStation 6, but you're not going to see the 100 million purchases for a PlayStation 6. Not with the prices that they're going to release it at, and not with the all-digital future in mind that they're going to release it at. So, anyway, that's been my thoughts on Sony. What do you guys think? Sing off in the comments down below. I hope I'm wrong about PlayStation being dead, but I've kind of moved on, and I think you should as well. So, with that being said, my name's Christopher Collins, 11 Hour Reviews, and that, unfortunately, will be all for today.